Got a big day on set today. Got a scene where I have 2 words to say, and I've bloody well learnt both of them. So...
How's it going, fellow Titans out there? Welcome to a brand new Titan Season 4 update video. And I know I haven't made a Titan Season 4 update video since around April 17th, I believe it was. And that's because, unfortunately, there hasn't been like a boatload of stuff to talk about. But since I haven't spoken about it in a while, we do have some things to talk about. So today, I'm here to give those updates on the things we've got in the past couple of months, including a lot of Brother Blood discussion, some Superboy tidbits, and potential teasers for a release date. So as usual, ladies and gentlemen, do consider subscribing if you're brand new here to the channel. I'm sure you'll enjoy some of my other videos, but also we're very on top of any form or shred of Titan Season 4 updates. So first up, Joseph Morgan tweeted out a little bit of an update with regards to the filming of Season 4 by saying, "I'm about halfway through shooting my season of DC Titans and so proud of the work we're doing. Can't wait for you to see it." So that gives us a little bit of a good update in terms of where, well, as he said himself, they're about halfway, or he's about halfway through shooting this season of DC Titans. We'll bounce back on this later when it comes around to the light discussion on the Season 4 release date. But then, June 1st, he also tweeted, "Today, I'm going to do what is probably the craziest thing I've ever done on set. Hashtag DC Titans." Personally, this makes me very eager to see what he means by that, due to Joseph Morgan having done some pretty crazy things on set before with that of his other characters, namely Klaus Michelson, of course. But at the same time, hearing this also makes sense to me. Because with Klaus, you might have some beheading moments, or some moments where he might just speed up to you and rip your heart out. But with Brother Blood, well, with whatever they may choose to adapt with his powers, let's just say it could get extremely messy. A fan even asked him on Twitter saying, "I hope you're enjoying yourself on set. Can you tell us more about that crazy thing you did the other day?" With Joseph Morgan replying, "Oh, you're going to know it when you see it." Now that right there reminded me of an Instagram story post that Joseph Morgan did, in where he advertised a couple of moments that seemed crucial to Sebastian Sanger's journey into Brother Blood.
Getting ready to film a very important sequence in Sebastian's journey. Very important. A pretty intense, emotional scene this morning. And now, as you can see, popping on my harness for a bit of stunt work. So, wish me luck.
So going back to what I was saying, the craziest thing I've ever done on set. Yeah, I feel like the Brother Blood character is giving him quite literally what he just said, possibly some excuses to do some of the craziest stuff, but also just hearing the words he uses there, getting ready to film a very important sequence in Sebastian's journey, the commentary about using a harness. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have that moment around about the time, I could be wrong about this obviously because I don't know exactly what they're filming, but let's just assume or guess that this very important sequence, as teased in the clip, could perhaps be the moment in filming where the true catalyst of what gains that somewhat jet-propelled momentum from Sebastian Sanger into Brother Blood happens. Perhaps it could be to do with him getting his powers or some other defining moment. I mean, of course, a harness doesn't necessarily mean that he's floating with power or anything. It could just be to like safely fly him back from some kind of explosion or something like that. But of course, it's kind of hard to not let your imagination wander when it comes to Brother Blood. And at the same time, I expect Brother Blood's, or should I say Sebastian's journey into Brother Blood to be a little bit of a slow burn. So don't expect full-on Brother Blood early on. Obviously, we need to understand Sebastian Sanger, his motivations, where he's coming from, why he goes down the path that he does, what gets him from point A to B, but then skipping from B all the way to Z. Because going through an evolution of a man at a dead-end job, as Joseph Morgan teased, to then getting to the point of moments that consist of filming the craziest things he's ever done on set, with us then seeing clips of him teasing filming that requires a harness, teasing an intense emotional scene, as he says in that clip. That's definitely going to take some exposition to set up, and personally, I'm all there for it.
Got a big day on set today. Got a scene where I have 2 words to say, and I've bloody well learnt both of them, so...
And with regards to that clip, guys, if you know the character of that of Brother Blood, the Church of Blood, and everything like that, I would love to know what you think those 2 words are that he's bloody well learned. What do you think they could be? Let me know down in the comments. Another tweet that I really enjoyed reading and gave us some insight as well was Joseph Morgan's reply to the HBO Max Pop account, of whom tweeted out saying, "Could you describe your favorite HBO Max show to a 5-year-old?" And this is what Joseph Morgan replied. "Misunderstood loner is targeted by mean costumed vigilantes and forced to take action." Now, I like that response because it's an interesting take that can be dissected a little bit here, and obviously gives us a little bit more of an open door into Sebastian's mind or perspective. And what I mean by that more specifically is, I'm sure whatever Sebastian Sanger is doing this season, of which we can't forget, we were teased with a few months ago, Sebastian is, quote, a lonely guy working the night shift at a dead-end job, dreaming of someday changing the world. I'm sure at some point in the season, especially as things are ramping up on him with a bit of heat his end, he does feel misunderstood, and if anything, is further propelled to try and achieve that dream the more difficult things get for him at the hands of the Titans. Especially with, as he says here, quote, is targeted by mean costumed vigilantes and forced to take action. And another thing, if anything, it might be quite that sad journey to watch unfold, because through Sebastian's journey to becoming Brother Blood, he might go to some extreme lengths in an effort to do good. And that, once again, brings up the whole topic of villainy being somewhat of a point of view for certain villains out there, especially for big villains from that of the comics, because of course, from various perspectives of great villains out there, what they do in their stories can be seen as downright villainous. Hence the described plot from Joseph Morgan being targeted by mean costumed vigilantes when he's just a misunderstood loner. Ultimately, bottom line, leading to this action that they might do to achieve their goal, further solidifying that. But as I also keep raving about in these Titans update videos when we speak about Brother Blood, is that the best villains are the multifaceted ones, and encourage the audience to at some level empathize with them. And in every role that I've seen Joseph Morgan in personally, there's always that reasoning there which drives a villain, making the character so much more interesting. Like, obviously there's Klaus, there's a lot of depth there, but even Brave New World, which, you know, arguably there's not necessarily a outright villain there, but through the way they portray his character in that show, it's kind of a bit of like a disturbing thing to other people and other characters out there. But really, once you kind of understand the nature of that character, the motivations and the lengths that character is willing to go through due to the circumstances that character is in the Brave New World show. And let me know if you've seen that, by the way. Once again, it's not like, oh yeah, Trigon, I'm gonna destroy worlds for the sake of destroying worlds. There's always that little kind of extra meat there that makes it that so much more juicier. And another tidbit here, I feel like we're almost doing a character study here on the channel of Sebastian Sanger on the journey to getting closer to season 4, is that this update offers some more insight into Sebastian Sanger's mindset, and that is Joseph Morgan shared a snippet from the journal he's been writing in for the character, and it says, "Nothing ever made sense to me, but this makes sense to me." Once again, to me, this is another hammer to the nail, driving in that perhaps Sebastian has found an answer to his dream of someday changing the world. Now, could this be facilitated by the Church of Blood? Because obviously this isn't just about Sebastian Sanger, Brother Blood, but obviously the teasers of that very billboard in Season 3, Episode 1, The Church of Blood, as Tim Drake is cycling throughout the streets and alleys of Gotham City. So with the Church of Blood, could they have made sense for him? Is what they were offering, or perhaps offering, made sense to him? We can't forget that Mother Mayhem, another big character in the Church of Blood, and her casting description was that Mother Mayhem, aka May Bennett, described as a natural leader who always carries the threat of violence with her. She is a predator in human form, and the next bit is quite key here, with an unfettered belief in her mission in the world. So this unfettered belief with her mission in the world, maybe that is somewhat advertised to Sebastian here, that leads him to be somewhat Trigon's emissary, Brother Blood. But again, all of that remains to be seen with exactly how it's adapted. But we can't forget that Franca Potente, who is playing Mother Mayhem, is a series regular alongside Joseph Morgan, so she will be in Season 4's episodes quite frequently. Now up next, we have another clip.
One thing that has become very apparent and important to me filming Titans is that Sebastian has a bond, a connection with one of the Titans. It's integral to the story we're telling. Who do you think it is?
So who do I think it is? I'm sure along with many of you, the guess is indeed Rachel Roth, aka Raven. Now, we've already been over some various news from set photos of Raven and her hair going from the very colorful hair that she had to completely white, as if it's symbolizing some kind of drained power. She no longer had the chakra gem on her forehead. Some people like to entertain the idea of maybe they just didn't put it on in makeup. That's perfectly logical, but at the same time, with the different wig and the missing gem there, it kind of makes more sense to me that even though, of course, they might not have just applied the gem at that point in time, that, hey, if the gem's missing, and that is, you know, quite a significant part of her power and a part of her character, that also maybe they would drain the kind of color to signify that there's some major difference with her. But without repeating myself so much from previous videos, let's get back to the bond here. Like the bond that Joseph Morgan was teasing, that is integral to the story that they're telling. Now, I can't really speak specifically to what the actual bond is other than what we know of Raven and Brother Blood from the comics. Perhaps we could draw a parallel from that of the father aspect. I'm not sure exactly how HBO Max's Titans will adapt Brother Blood, but as I always say, it's never copy and paste, like they don't clone comic panels from the source material pages to that of the screen. However, you do expect to see echoes here and there, even some very accurate ones, few and far between. And with Brother Blood, as somewhat explained in previous videos, for many, many centuries, the title of Brother Blood was gained through quite a messed up way, and that is through patricide, killing the current then Brother Blood, who's actually the father, as a part of this curse, if you will. And then their son would end up killing them, and just so on, rinse and repeat. Now, any big Star Wars fans out there, it should somewhat remind you of the Sith rule of two, and that is how the apprentice learns everything they can know from the master, kills them, and then becomes a new Dark Lord of the Sith, and rinse and repeat. Now, getting back on point, what I was getting at there is I just kind of wonder if some of the aspect of the bond between Raven and Sebastian Sanger, and again, I don't think this is the sole reason, or even a large part of the reason behind this bond and connection Joseph Morgan was teasing, and what is integral to the story, but one thing they could share in, of course, in common is that of father trouble. I mean, her father is Trigon, and if they adapt anything to do with Brother Blood's father aspect, then they could add in that Sebastian had a messed up thing going on there, but that still remains to be seen. Now, of course, at the same time, you could attribute this bond and connection as integral to the story they're telling this season, is perhaps Raven to be Brother Blood's sister bride. But again, I really don't think they're gonna go down that route. They'll probably like repurpose that storyline if they do need Raven and they force her within the church or something like that. Maybe not like a bride kind of thing going on, but just some other loosely translated story. But one of the biggest aspects about the Church of Blood I'm intrigued to see see if they lean heavily on or not with this adaptation is the fact that they're more or less Trigon's pawns. Now, from my perspective, or at least from where I'm sitting at right now looking at this adaptation, is that maybe they'll mention that stuff with Trigon, but the mission for Sebastian in particular far exceeds possibly any obsession with Trigon. With Trigon maybe just being a conduit, if you will, for what he wants to achieve with, as we know, dreaming of changing the world. I don't know. I mean, some of you might say, oh, how can they do Church of Blood without heavy Trigon story beats there? But again, maybe it's just loosely mentioned. And for Sebastian, this is more about Trigon being a means to an end for what he wants to change in the world, what he wants to dream of doing and accomplishing there. Now, with this Superboy stuff, just very brief, because I wanted to highlight this because it looks awesome as well. I bet it was fun filming this scene. But here, we can see some Superboy action images just teased behind the scenes. It looks like possibly he's flying here. It looks like he's getting ready to just release some kind of blast of heat vision or something like that. Don't forget that we've potentially got some very big stuff with Superboy this season. We can't forget about the rumors of Lex Luthor having like a brief but memorable appearance, so that would heavily pertain to Connor, and I really wonder what could be going on with his character after a potential meeting with Lex Luthor. Imagine just even know what you've heard about your father, or one of your fathers, if you know what I mean, half Lex, half Clark, what kind of impact that could have on him this season, the repercussions potentially coming out of that. So yeah, just wanted to share some behind the scenes images there. And lastly, everyone, some potential news on the release date. Now, this isn't mega really surprising, but I thought I'd offer this. This came out a little while ago now, but Brenton Thwaites attended Motor City Comic Con, which I believe was around the 13th to the 15th of May. One user who attended said that they asked him how season 4 was, and he told them that it would be premiering October 2022. Now, this account is now deleted. I really don't know if it's related to this. I doubt it, because at the end of the day, it's just like, release date, even if that was leaked, it's not like a huge deal. But it's not surprising to me anyway, as I was saying. Given that they're still filming and with post-production to do and whatnot, October would have been a date that I think I have even speculated about in videos before. Season 1 aired in October, Season 2 was September, Season 3 was August. However, given the dates and that they're now still filming right now, just bottom line, it seems very fitting that Season 4's 12-episode season will be another full release date for Titans. So as of when we get DC Fandom, I'm just wondering if we're going to get DC Fandom around August, give or take, just because we've got quite a lot of full content this season for DC, like Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Titans possibly in October, and other various, Stargirl as well. It just seems DC Fandom being this summer rather than putting it out, October. It makes a lot more sense for them to do it there, so we could get some footage and trailers of Titan Season 4 once again at DC Fandom, but there's no news on DC Fandom right now for 2022. But I think that more or less, wraps up this video. So let me know everything you thought about what we discussed today, down to the Brother Blood updates, what you think of every little micro teaser that Joseph Morgan gave. If you've made it this far, especially if you've made it this far, it'd be really appreciated if you could leave that like. Do subscribe as well, especially if you got this far, because I'm sure you'll enjoy future Titans update videos. Links, as always, guys, are in the description to my social media and other places to support me. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Titans in the next video. Goodbye.